As Newsmax Prime continues, it's worth noting the name Jane Fonda has been up in lights for a whole lot of years. But a lot of people still call her Hanoi Jane, the nickname given to her for visiting North Vietnam at the height of our military's involvement in the Vietnam War. Now, she's since apologized, acknowledging it was a mistake to seem sympathetic to the communist cause during that war. But now, Jane Fonda's picture is on the cover of this month's issue of W magazine. And with Memorial Day fast approaching, was Jane Fonda really the best choice for a cover girl? It's a good topic for our panel. First, checking in from Newsmax LA, political analyst and Newsmax contributor Larry Elder, and Skyping in from Portland, Maine, Brad Bannon, the president of Bannon Communications. Gentlemen, Jane Fonda recently said that this will haunt her to her grave. Brad, should veterans forgive and forget?
Well, the short answer is yes. She's admitted this is a mistake. And, you know, I can understand how they feel, though, because I felt the same way when George Bush was president and Dick Cheney was vice president. It drove me crazy to see them every Memorial Day at the Arlington National Monument. And here are two guys who did everything they could to avoid going to Vietnam and were successful in not going to Vietnam. But yet they every year honored our.
Now wait a minute, Brad. Soldiers. You're talking about people with constitutional duties. You may disagree with them politically, but to switch the focus off Jane Fonda, the bottom line is, after the diatribe about President Bush and Vice President Cheney, you understand the distress that some veterans have about Jane Fonda.
Absolutely. Yeah, I do, and I have the same stress about George W. Bush and
All
Dick Cheney.
Fine. That's duly noted. Larry Elder, your turn.
That's incredibly unfair. Incredibly unfair. George W. Bush did serve. Dick Cheney took deferments. They were legal deferments. Jane Fonda went over, consorted with the enemy at the height of the war. I have two brothers, my older brother and younger brother, who were Vietnam-era vets. It pissed them off. It pissed me off.
Well, I would argue at least Jane Fonda admitted she made a mistake. George W. Bush and Dick Cheney did never admit they made a mistake.
You know, Brad,
any mistake. George W. Bush served. Dick Cheney had deferments. They were lawful. What do you mean mistake? And I agree with you. I think the vets ought to forgive Jane Fonda. She's apologized not just once, but repeatedly. But don't tell me it wasn't a mistake, and don't tell me it wasn't a grave error that she ought to be responsible for the rest of her life.
Well, I disagree with you on that, Larry.
Well, disagreement duly noted.
Bringing up Dick Cheney, so incredibly unfair. Why is Dick Cheney such a hateful person to you? Please tell me that. Tell me that.
Because he sent 4,500 people, brave young Americans to their deaths by lying about the presence of weapons of mass destruction in Iraq.
Wow.
A lie that he lied about WMD. A, B, he was vice president. The commander-in-chief named George W. Bush is the one who made the decision, my friend.
Here's a clear distinction, Brad. There's a difference between misinterpreting intelligence and, quote, lying. Now, people can have policy disagreements.
Dick Cheney didn't misinterpret intelligence. He made it up. There was no evidence at all there
were
weapons.
Can you give me one specific example where Dick Cheney, quote, made it up? One example, please.
Oh, he made up a whole thing about WMDs. There weren't any.
Well, this conversation is beginning to be made out of whole cloth, and so I'm going to move. The initial topic was Jane Fonda. Let's see if we can stay on topics now with current events. The Trans-Pacific Partnership Act, the Senate narrowly voted in favor of breaking the filibuster to move that along. Larry Elder, there are some who are concerned that conservatives are opening the door for a guy with whom they have their own issues of trust, President Obama. Where do you stand on TPP and what is going on there?
I'm in favor of it, and what this shows you is that when Republicans opposed Obama, they opposed Obama for principled reasons. Right now, they're not opposing Obama, at least not most of them, because they believe in free trade. It makes the lie, the statement that Morgan Freeman made when he accused Mitch McConnell of opposing Obama just because, implying that Mitch McConnell and the Republicans were racist and were just opposing Obama no matter what he said he was going to do. Here's something that they agree on, and now you find Democrats opposing Obama. Are the Democrats racist?
Let's give the last word to Brad Bannon. 30 seconds, sir.
I'm against the fast track because I think it surrenders American legal sovereignty to foreign nations, and we should never do that. It also is going to mean the loss of American jobs. People working in factory towns in the Midwest are going to get wiped out if TPP passes.
Well, gents, you're batting 500. Larry, on the first question, I agreed with you. Brad, on the second question, I agree with you, but I'm concerned about some, quote, immigration provisions in the TPP. But it was ever thus in a free society. We can all have different points of view. Gentlemen, we thank you for your time. We hope you have a great Memorial Day. You heard what our guest had to say. What do you have to say? Why don't you weigh in via email, Facebook, and Twitter? And we're coming right back on Newsmax Prime.